If you're a feminist, then you should probably jump ship and start swimming away as fast as you can right about now. Because that boat, it's sinking and it's going to take the life rafts with it as well. And on top of that, there's vampires inside. And as soon as they're exposed to daylight, they start shrieking and hollering and they start shoving their own in front of the windows to protect themselves. But really, they're kind of killing themselves. They're destroying themselves. Hi, I'm Fahad Mian, and this is Prime Philosophy, and I'm going to use linguistics and the psychology of words and the understanding of words to show how feminism is worse than cancer. And it's pretty much irrefutable. You can't, it's not a subjective thing. This is how it is. Now, linguistics is the study and the analysis of words and how we use them, how we express them, how we understand them, how we read them, and the way this affects our perception of the world and our understanding of ourselves. I'll give you an example of how linguistics and the psychology of linguistics can affect the way that we see the world. If you're a woman who's at a stage in her life where she wants to have children, you'll likely be looking through maternity books and going to the pram store or looking through those type of catalogs and speaking with your partner about it and just absorbing yourself with information regarding pregnancy and maternity and babies and children and bottles and nappies and things like that. And your sphere of conscience will get surrounded by these new words or new terms like pregnancy and maternity and all the things I've just mentioned. And what will happen is that after a little bit of time, your subconscious will mark some of those terms as safe and it'll store them, and it will allow you to process information based on those terms without having any sort of critical thought about it. And what that will result in, and this happens to a lot of people, is that you'll go outside and you'll start seeing pregnant women quite often. You'll see them everywhere, and you'll notice babies and you'll notice prams and you'll notice maternity related stuff a lot more. Now, the universe hasn't changed. It's just your perception of the universe has changed. But for a moment there, you'll think that maybe this is the month for more pregnant women to be around. Maybe there's some sort of convention on or something like that. For a moment, you'll think that. You'll have a suspension of belief or disbelief. I don't know how that works. But you won't process or critically think about that information for a little bit until you backtrack and say, hold on, I've been looking at all these books. And then it'll start to make sense. That really it's just you're looking for these things. So that's one way that linguistics and psychology can affect our understanding of the world and how we see things. So it gives us a little bit of a bias towards recognizing the truth. Now, when it comes to feminism and equality, well, the main way that we're going to achieve social equality and the most efficient way to do it is by removing unnecessary labels. I've said this before in other videos. So if you stop using terms like male and female and gender and race-related ones and religion-related ones, and only speak about them when they're necessary, when they're absolutely necessary, then it removes those things from our conscience, and we stop looking for those things, except that when they actually do appear, when they're actually blatantly in front of us, then we'll notice it like quite easily, and you'll be able to spot actual racism and discrimination as opposed to you perceiving it a lot of the time and when it's not actually happening. And the problem with feminism there is that within the very words of feminism, you have the words, the terms gender and male and female, as if these are actual issues that people should be tripping over and stumbling over. Now, it doesn't actually say you should trip over and stumble over them, but the more you talk about them, the more you have these terms in your conscience, the more you're going to look for those problems. And over the decades, as feminism has done its work and it's made things more equal in terms of law for men and women in Western society, and we approach equality, then feminism gets worse, because that logical loop of having the word equality and gender male female, putting priority on gender male and female while trying to achieve equality, doesn't work. It's a juxtaposition. It's a paradox. It's a logical fallacy of a loop. So you end up making the problem worse when it's actually the problem that you're trying to fix within the actual method of trying to resolve the problem in the first place. So it's a cyclic loop. It's self-defeating is what it is. And feminists are going batshit crazy, and the illogic has spread to the social justice warrior cause, the Black Lives Matter, and the mainstream media now as well has gotten into the schools and colleges, and we're having a breakdown of common sense, and we're being stripped of our freedom of speech. We can't express human rights anymore with the recent interview of, if you can call it an interview, of Cassie J, who made the Red Pill documentary, and how she was completely treated really nasty and unfairly by the Sunrise hosts and the project. And that's one example where it's in our public mindset, it's in our sphere, it's in our direct line of sight that this is actually occurring. The failure in logic, it's getting too far, and it's starting to be noticed by everyone now. So if you're a self-denying feminist, you got to get out. And I have some friends who are feminists, and I feel very dearly for them. And I think you need to find someone who you can trust, who can pull you out of there. Because if you stay, you're gonna be labeled as a monster. That's what's happening. There's a destruction of our mindset and our society and our freedom and all the things that make us wholesome people. It's all being shattered, and it's being not shattered but shattered, and it's terrible to see. And it's getting better though. There's every single comment on the Sunrise interview and the project interview has been negative. Every single one of them, and they're backtracking and they're deleting those videos and trying to get them pulled off the internet. And that's cutting off your own speech, your own feet, and it's a self-cannibalizing ideology. That's what it is, not because the people are bad. Everyone can fall into that kind of trap where they're ignorant, or they're just they've been caught up with emotion. Everyone can fall into that. It's not just feminism, but feminism, I'm going to say, because it's on our radar. It's affecting everyone right now. And it's in the actual definition for feminism. The actual definition itself is a hypocritical, phallical. How do you pronounce phallical? It sounds sort of like it doesn't make sense. It's bullshit. That's what it is, and it's gonna destroy our minds. We can't do that to our children, We can't have a future building up based on rubbish views that keep on changing and they're subjective. We need to stop. We need to save the feminists. So if you're a feminist, just I'm gonna reach out and I'm gonna ask if you need a hug or something like that. If you need someone to talk to, I'm not gonna fucking judge. Yeah, and there's a lot of other people out there who aren't gonna judge. They're supportive of human rights, and they're not gonna, they're gonna understand because everyone goes through this kind of stuff. Everyone has weird experiences. So please think about yourself and think about the people around you and ditch feminism. It's going. The boat's singing. So leave it for the sake of equality. Thank you.